Good morning, Josh. Hey, Stu.
Hey, Jake. How are you, mate?
Good. How are you?
Going good.
A couple of more minutes. People come in. Hello, Lise. Okay, let people in. Hey, Matt. Hey, Stokesy. Hello, Ducky.
I'm just
Hello, Heath. Hello, Logs. Dan Slater. Logan. Katie. Hello, everyone. Have we got James Hayashi now on? Hello, James. How are you?
Sunburn sitting there.
No, I'm in the car and Nambuck ahead. So just wait 1 moment. We've just got a couple more people coming in.
No problem.
Okay, everyone, as you come in, please, can I get cameras on and everyone on mute? Cameras on, please, if you can. And everyone on mute. Okay. Cameras on, please, as everyone comes in, and everyone on mute, please. Give us a couple more minutes. We just let people in. I don't know why it's done that. Okay. I think we pretty much have everyone coming on. Here. Okay. Give it a couple more minutes. Great, 32. Everyone nearly should be in now. Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming on. I'm on the side of the road in a petrol station at Nambucca Head. So, you know, living my best life as per usual. This morning we've got James Hayashi on. So a bit about James. James, he has been, oh God, he's been a real estate agent. He's had his own successful recruitment company. He's an auctioneer. He was the sales manager at PPD Real Estate and worked alongside Alexander Phillips, the #1 agent in the company, and then was the head of sales for McGrath company owned. And how many offices was that, James, that you were running? And how many staff?
At the end, I think it was 19.
19 offices and over 100 staff. He's a mentor of mine, and I'm also lucky to call him one of my best friends. So thank you for coming on this morning. And he was my boss too at McGrath, so that was interesting. That was very interesting. So thank you this morning for coming on, James, and giving us some of your wisdom. I think let's get into it. So obviously, you've just opened up your own agency down in Sydney. You're how many months in?
We started trading in August last year.
And how many sales have you guys done?
Last time I checked, we'd done like 153, I think it was.
Wow.
But that's definitely gone up. Like I haven't run the numbers for this month yet.
Wow. So big numbers. So I think you can see that the market, we are starting to see some of the market changing. Days on market are getting a bit longer. Vendors' expectations and buyers' expectations are certainly becoming a little bit more difficult. What are you seeing down in Sydney? What are you saying to your guys at the moment? Talk me through that.
We went through a really interesting patch probably about a month ago where it got very, very tight. So our performance in March was pretty dismal. The number of sales, the transactions was well below what we sort of budgeted for and targeted. But we've bounced back with a really strong April. And what I'm sort of putting that down to is the market has found its feet. In March, we came into that slow patch where things weren't trading, buyer confidence had dropped off, but there were no sales that had sort of reset the market, and there's nothing that had educated the vendor about why their property wasn't worth what they wanted or what we'd appraised it at. So what's happened now is we've seen the market shift. We have seen a lot come out in the media. So I'm very active on news.com, Fin Review, any of the real estate websites around media that is bringing attention to market conditions and getting that out to the team to saying, right, okay, there's talk about, yesterday there's a great article around 5.1% inflation, and there's now talks about a rate rise next week. So I got that article out to the team. They can get across to any vendors who have offers on their properties right now saying, hey, there's probably going to be a rate rise next week. Maybe not everybody's seen this article yet or understand what this actually means for the market. You should really take this into consideration. So the media's played a good part in helping educate our vendors. We've seen our appraisal numbers drop off significantly over the past 2 months. And we've seen our new listings going live drop off significantly in the past 2 months. That's not a bad thing because now we're clearing stock. So we've been able to sell the things that were sitting around that had passed in or been postponed. So it's actually kind of helped us. In terms of the market, I just want to sort of prephrase this and pre-frame it that I don't actually care what's happening in the market. I don't care what's happening with interest rates. I don't care what's happening with prices. I look at volume. So if there's less listings in the market for us to sell, then we're in trouble because we won't have as much revenue. But if there's volume, if people are still coming to market, but it's taking longer, that's fine. We just understand we need to carry more stock to mitigate those longer days on market.
So talk to me around the guys at the moment. So you've got quite a few junior guys that are within the business as well. They've ridden a good market over the last 2 years since they've got in it, right? Happy days, everyone can sell. You list a property, it sells straight away. There's definitely going to be some of these new guys are going to start to now get nervous, right? Things are taking a little bit longer and it's harder. What are you telling them at the moment?
So it really comes down to, and I guess this is what I wanted to cover off on, and what I've been instilling in my guys, and want to share with you and your team is, it's really around process. That don't focus on the outcome. The outcome you can't actually control, but you can control every step of the way. And it's not just around, are you doing great open homes? Are you doing your callbacks? Are you asking the right questions? It's going back to like the actual process of how well are you actually prospecting? Are you actually being mindful and centered and present during that one-on-one phone call when you're looking for business? I was taught by one of my mentors, Ivan Bresic, everyone's got a sign on their head that says, make me feel important. And I've had one of my guys, Christian, who's an absolute superstar. Like he's going to set the world on fire. He's probably ready to go out in the next, I'd say 6 to 12 months. We might delay that depending on how the market goes. We're not here to push people out for them to fail. If it means holding them back so they actually have good traction, a good runway, well, he's on board with that too. But we're just looking at his sort of core volumes. He's a machine on the phones. You know, he's hitting at least 50 connections a day, you know, over 100 dials. He's doing all the right things, but he just wasn't getting that sort of best connection with the appraisals. And, you know, he was missing a few things, not missing so much as he's in the door and he's pitching and losing, but he had people on his database that he's following up that he wasn't getting in the door with and had come to market. And it just came back down to, when we broke it down, is, mate, were you actually asking the right questions, or were you just going through the motions? Because real estate, it's one of those games where it's so easy just to sit on the phone and make the call. Hey, Jake, just want to let you know, number 32 in your street sold. Hope everything's well. Went to 1.5 million. I'll keep you updated on the market. And you're saying what you need to say, but you're not gauging the response. You're not asking if there's anything that you can qualify around that person's position. Is there anything that can give you away? You know, and the engagement you get, people love talking about themselves. You know, it's like when you go out to a dinner party, you know, if you sit there and talk about you, like, you can see the people turn off. But if you're the one listening, you walk out of that party where everyone goes, gee, he was a nice guy. Wasn't he interesting? You might have only said 3 words, but they're 3 really good questions, and you built rapport with that person. So again, it's going back down into your process of how you're building your relationships. And now that comes full circle into how you're actually listing business. So I've got another good friend of mine who I train with. He works in a competing company, but, you know, we train every single day. And, you know, I work with him at McGrath, Simon, Nolan, Jake. Simon has 14 listings signed up. 10 of those are houses. And he said, I said to him, he goes, how you find the market, James? I said, oh, mate, this is what we're seeing, blah, blah, blah. And he said, yeah, look, I'm actually not having that much trouble at the moment. You know, I'm going in, 10 of the 14 were uncontested. So I didn't get it. There were no other agents in there. And all the deals I've had recently, people are actually listening to my advice. If we need a price adjustment and there's an offer that needs to be taken, there's no conjecture around that. And this comes back down to when I started working with Simon. Again, he's a machine on the phones, but he was very, very static in his delivery, and he wasn't really building rapport or adding value. And by adding in the geo-targeting, so moving away from the, hey, Jake, how you going, mate? Just want to touch base. Any real estate plans this year? Oh, you think it's only 12 months? Okay, I'll call you in the next 6 months. Hope the family's well. 6 months later, hey, Jake, you thinking about selling? Like, they're just self-fulfilling phone calls that add 0 value to the client. We flipped that into geo-targeting, so just listed, just sold phone calls, coupled in with your market forecasts. And this is now transpiring after 2 years of hard work. So again, back down to the process, identifying what the process is. Yes, you need to make the phone calls, but refining the process into going, right, am I actually giving the right information, having the right conversation? Yes, you are. Continue that process on through a period of time to then getting to a point where it's now easier for him to sell. So he's writing more and more business year on, year out. So he's not doubling his business, but it's certainly compounding, and it's actually getting easier for him to transact. So his market share's going up, and he's able to actually get better clients on board, better results, lower days on market, better market presence.
Absolutely. And I think it's critical, because then it's also, you're then building up even more rapport with your vendors as well. So you're doing the hard work before you've even started the work.
That's right. That's right. And so a good point that Alex always used to say, we talk about hot sellers, and he goes, if there's anybody thinking about selling in the next 10 years, they're on my hot seller list. Because if there's any intention of selling, I want to be able to progress them forward. So what we do as agents is we prospect, and they go, we've been in the house 5 times, we've had 10 cups of tea, we know the dog, cat, goldfish, kids' names, all that sort of thing. Speak to them regularly, just listed, just sold phone calls. We've got great rapport. Jake, we're never going to use anybody else. We're using you. And we go, awesome, that's a client for life. They're going to call me when they're ready to sell. But if you wait for them to call, you're sort of behind the 8 ball, and you don't know what other relationships they have with these people. Are they just, you know, pissing in your pocket and making you feel good because you're a nice guy, or do they actually want to go with you? So this is where it's about progressing people to market. So people sell for a number of reasons. It's death, divorce, upsizing, downsizing, financial pressure. These are the key motivating factors. Or in the market just gone by, it was around price. So a lot of our prospecting in the past 2 years has been around price motivation. Hey, we've set a record here. We've got a buyer who pay an absolute premium. What would you sell for? But now that this has had the shift to being like, right, we need to now knuckle down and go, what is the factor that would actually drive this person to sell? And we need to be ahead of the game. And so if there's any intention, okay, Jake, you're thinking about selling, why are you selling? Look, my daughter finished the HSC end of this year. We want to move up to Port Macquarie, so we're going to sell the family home. Okay, great, completely understand that. You're obviously aware that there's probably going to be an interest rate rise very soon. We're coming into a downturning market. So, you know, your best chance to sell for a premium now is, or to sell for a premium is now. So our advice to all our clients who think about trading the next 18 months to 2 years is sell now, sit on the cash, either rent or get an extended settlement, wait for the market to dip, then buy when we bottom out, because cash will be king. It's all well and good to buy and sell in the same market, but what if your timing gets blown out? What if your life circumstances change? What if you decide that you do want to stay in Sydney? You know, we just had a really big sale down in Wallara for 14.5 million. One of my guys, Ben Goodwin, did that deal. Incredible sale, like actually put him on the maps. You know, he's a young guy, he's 30 years old. Like, this is a game changer for him. When he came to me, he said, mate, I've got this deal coming up. You know, we had to throw the kitchen sink at it. And I backed him on it. I was like, mate, take this on board. And especially when he told me what the owner did, he was he's a very high up in running the investment sides of things. So he has an international role looking after investment portfolios across the United States, across Asia and Australia. And he's there, and Ben goes, they're not selling for anything under 15 million. And I said, mate, this guy's job is to read the market. I guarantee you they're motivated to sell. I say, get on the market, do what you need to do. They're going to sell. And so no matter what the narrative, the guy's saying, we're not selling under 15, we're not. They played absolute hardball, but we ran the process. Ben did absolutely everything right. We got the buyer there. The market was 14.5. They had to come off the $500,000. It's a lot of money. But again, at the end of it, you know, when them was sat down and said, guys, are you happy? They said, look, we actually really are. You ran a great process, and, you know, you've actually helped us get out at the absolute top of where we need to be. Yes, it's not our dream price, but we can now sit back and we can now have the money to spend. So, and again, I look back at the behavior going, when did these people actually buy the property? They bought the property, I think it was 5 or 6 years ago, for 6 million. So they made heaps of money. I know this is like completely irrelevant price points to your market, and no disrespect, but what I'm talking about is trying to look into what the vendor's motivation is here. So some people will be held fast on price, going, we're not selling anything less, but what's going on in the background? And if you've got a relationship and you can qualify and understand what's been happening throughout their life and what the driving factors are, that will then help you give a read of the play, whether you take a piece of stock on now or not. Because right now, it's all around motivation. If they're motivated by setting a record price, well, let's hold on and wait for the market to pick back up. But if you're motivated about making money and actually trading and getting to the next property, you know, now's the time to go, because, you know, you make the money the day you buy. It's not when you sell. If you buy it for a good price, that's where you get the upswing.
100%. And I think you touched on something important at the moment. It's something that we are definitely drilling into the business at the moment, is the process and following the process, not worrying what the vendor's saying. I mean, how many times have we all sat in an event, you know, I sat in a room and a vendor said, we're not taking any less than, and then you either get to auction day or you get on the auction room floor and you're able to, you know, put a deal together. But it's about doing the process, doing your set to sell meetings, going through the process, keeping them informed so that they then know when it gets to auction day or before auction, you've done everything that you can. And sure, you might not be there, you might be close, or you might be far away, but you've done everything and they can see you've done everything.
That's right. And in this market, it is actually, if you shift your perspective, it's actually easier to sell, because if they say, well, we're not selling, we're not taking, go, well, why are you on the market? Like, you know, this is not the peak. You know, we're about to get an interest rate rise. We're in an election year. We've had Easter, we've had Anzac Day. Like, come on, like, I'm not going to say it to the mid in my head. I'm like, guys, like, you're selling, you know, it's not like it was, you know, 6 months ago where it's like, well, we won't get our price, we won't sell. They're on the market for a reason. And coming back to your process, it is super critical around your set to sell meetings. You know, that is actually how you get your property sold. So making sure, you know, you get your photos done, you reappoint before it hits the market. Guys, I just want to paint the picture of what's going to happen. These are all the possible scenarios, all the possible outcomes, so you're prepared. You know, how do we address buyers? What is actually a buyer? How am I going to give you feedback? Language in these markets is super critical. A lot of agents I see will put, we had 15 buyers through your home in the vendor report, or in the text message to the owner after the open home, or in the conversation with the owner, 15 buyers. Now, us as agents, we understand that's 15 people through the door. As a vendor, that's positive reinforcement of 15 people wanting to buy their home have come through, because not everybody's educated around real estate terminology. So it's like, okay, so you have to readjust that I train my team this saying, we had 15 inspections. Of those 15, there were 3 qualified buyers. So the other 12 people, let's park them. They were neighbors, friends, family, dog walkers. Let's look at the 3 people who are actually transactional. Who are they? That's Jake Carter. Let's talk to you about Jake Carter. He's been looking in the market for 6 months. He's made offers on this property at this price, on this property at this price, this property at this price. Based on these 3 properties, he feels your property is worth, and say you're guiding, you know, $1 million. He sees value at your property at 800,000. Guys, we're not taking 800,000. I'm not telling you to take 800,000, but at least we've got live market feedback and we can now have a great place to start with our guide price. That's way too low. Understand that, but we can now guide from having interest from a qualified buyer at 800,000 to work ourselves up. Given he's probably not our buyer right now, but this is a great starting point. You've got to remember our guide price is not our reserve price. We're not selling at that level, but we need to make sure that we have offers for you to say no to, not having no offers at all.
Absolutely, 100%. You're on that. Let's switch gears. Talk to me. You worked at PPD alongside Alex Phillips for how long? 2 years, wasn't it? 2.5 years?
No, it was like 4 years. I think it was 4.5.
4 years. God, okay.
Yeah.
Seems like shorter. Tell us about that.
That was interesting. I mean, the guy's an anomaly. Like, you know, like he's probably like one of our biggest competitors. But the guy's machine, like his work ethic is second to none. You know, he puts the timing. The biggest thing, and again, it comes around process. He's on the phone literally from 7:15 in the morning till 7 o'clock at night. There's zero downtime. So he'll come in. The first thing he does is confirm his own appointments. So he's all appointments for the day, and it's coming from his office landline, and he's calling at 7:15. So most agents are getting out of bed at that time. He's confirming the appointment because everybody says he's too busy. He won't get you the personal touch, but he's there confirming. And so like, right, he's setting the standard. So the expectation is there that he's there to deliver, and he's basically prospecting. So whether he is, you know, on a call session, he'll dial a number, he'll walk to when I first met Alex, we'd meet up for lunches and coffees and all that sort of thing all the time. But then things shifted where he used to just order food into the office or he'd bring his food from home. And it was to minimize downtime because he realized every minute that I waste is a phone call I could be making. So he's dialing a number, he's walking to the microwave, he's putting his food in the microwave, hitting 2 minutes, going back, making another 2 calls, walking back, taking his food out, hanging the phone up, making another call. He's eating while he's on the phone. And the interesting part is he'll be doing a call session. He's got an appointment to go to. He hangs up the landline, picks up the mobile, dials number, and he's making a call on the way to the car. So there's no pub chat. There's no talking like, how's your weekend? There's none of that. And he's in there, he's dialed. And so I remember when I was working with him running the team, I wake up really early and he knows that. So he would call me about anything that he wanted to run through between 4 in the morning and 7 in the morning, because that was the time he could operate at. And that was the time that he was like, you know, I knew I can catch him. If I need to talk to him about something, I'm like, if it's past 7:30 in the morning, he's in real estate mode. He's not paying attention to what I need. So just the level of focus and being able to be dialed in, you know, is it sustainable? No. Can everybody do it? Definitely not. Personally, it's impossible. And do you want to have that sort of lifestyle? I personally don't. But is it actually possible? Like, so I look at that as like, you know, can we go to Mars? Yes, we can go to Mars. So it's possible to get there. Is everybody going to go there? No, they're not. But we know what's possible. So if you did 10% of his work, you get 10% of the return. You know, so if the guy's writing 20 mil a year, you do 10% of what he's doing, you can write 2 mil a year.
He's incredible. He's absolutely incredible. And not for, as you said, not for everyone, but like his market knowledge. His market knowledge is absolutely second to none.
Second to none. I guess that the big things are that, you know, that it's again, it's good to see that and to replicate as much as possible, but not to make comparisons. So again, you know, I'm listening to this great book at the moment. I'll tell you what it is. It's like honestly one of the best things I've ever listened to. It's called Chasing Excellence, and it's by a guy called Ben Bergeron. And he's the CrossFit coach for like 3 of the past CrossFit World Champions. And He just dials in around process and around mindset and around absolute pure focus to the task. And this is exactly like, there's actually a lot of similarities between these top performers. It's like they're completely dialed. There's this one lady, I can't pronounce her last name, Catherine, who won the CrossFit Games a number of times. She has like 3 cheat meals per year. And it's not like a cheat meal like you or I have, like we blow out on the weekend, have pizza and burgers and KFC and whatever. She literally has like, you know, I don't know, whatever it is. But she was at a point with her diet where she would go out to dinner with friends to a restaurant and take her own food. That's the level of dedication. Am I going to do that? 100% no, I want to enjoy my life. Like, that's not realistic. But to chase excellence, to be at that level, you've got to sit there and go, right, what am I actually willing to sacrifice? What am I willing to put in to get to that point? Because real estate's one of those games where it's so easy that you can sit back and be super busy. What'd you do today? Oh, I went and did my letterbox drops. I picked up the keys. I put the sold sticker up. I sent out an email blast. I went and door knocked the house that I thought was coming up. Had a coffee with a client. She's a really lovely lady. I was there for an hour and a half. Just telling me about her dog to die, so I couldn't leave. So yeah, I'm exhausted. Yeah, super busy, but how productive was your day? So again, going back to our guys here, we measure productivity. Like, are you actually putting in everything you possibly can? And it's not around, like, we don't run like a dictatorship here where we tell them what they have to do. It's like their goals are aligned with what their outcomes are. What do you want to achieve? Christian wants to become an agent. And when we were talking about that and setting him up to become an agent, it's not around when you think you're ready, like, because he's ready to be an agent. He's got all the skill sets, he can list, he can sell, but it's like, where is your business coming from? So he works in Angus's team. A lot of his business is coming off the back of open homes. So I said, mate, if that tap gets turned off and you go out on your own away from Angus and those signboards and those opens, how are you going to survive? And so he's like, right. I said, so now what's the KPI? Well, in the next 6 months, we want you to have 7 to 8 listings that you've brought in off your own back. So these are people you've met through a database call, add and open, at least 6 to 12 months ago, you've nurtured a relationship. So it's a cold prospect that you've actually brought to market and progressed.
Absolutely. Thank you. We are coming near time, so I just want to get through a couple of more things. Tell me, so throughout the group, we've got, agents writing anywhere between, 250 up to $2 million and more. The deal, role play, the deal, you and I used to do it, you and I still do it. How important do you think is role playing?
Oh, 100%. 100%. So it's about the visualization. And I was the biggest skeptic of all this stuff growing up, and all this hoo-ha and goal setting. I hated it. I was like, this is bullshit. But now that I think about it, role playing and visualization and understanding outcomes is super important, because you're arming yourself with being able to overcome the objection before the objection actually comes. So, right, what could possibly happen here? I'll give you an example. I call it auctions every weekend. I've been being an auctioneer for 7 or 8 years now. I still write notes for every single property, every single either Friday night or Saturday morning really early. I get up and I go for a walk for an hour every Saturday morning. I hate it when it rains because I can't do that walk, but I go through every auction. I'm going over my intro. I go through my intro consistently at every property. I then go through my numbers. I'll count. I go 20, 40, 60, 80, 1, 120, 140, 160, 25, 50, 75, just to get sharp. And I'm like, okay, right. What's this property? It's a 3-bedroom apartment in Randwick. Who are we dealing with? Okay, the vendor is selling on behalf of his father. Okay, there's some emotional attachment there. So I need to make sure that I'm really warm and bubbly with the intro. Okay, who are the potential buyers? We've got 2 investors. We've got 1 young family. Why does the family like it? They can walk to the local school. Why the investors like it? It's a 3-story walk up with low levies in a great spot. Rental yields be high. So depending on who I'm talking to at the auction, I'm changing my dialogue and changing my spiel to that. But if I'm not thinking about it, if I'm not role playing it beforehand, I can't actually come with a dialogue. Too many of us sit back and go, I'll be right. I'll just wing it. But being really sharp, making sure the top of your game, the top of your craft.
Absolutely. And it's I say to these guys all the time, especially we're probably one of the most auction dominated agencies up here, and I think we run auctions pretty well. But it's it's interesting. I say, well, who are the buyers? Where are they at? What did they bid? Where coming from me where I was, I knew everything about that person, so that when we went into either the auction room floor or doing something beforehand, I could just get it done because I knew where they wanted to be. So Dave and I are always harping on to them about, role playing, making sure that you're using us and we're here to help you guys, because sometimes we can see what you guys can't see.
That's the whole job. I don't actively list and sell. I haven't sold a house in 15 years. Can I sell a house? Yes, I can, because I understand the process. But what I'm here to do is be that objective third party where where I can sit to the guys and be like, right, run me through this, run me through that. And you're completely right about knowing your buyers. The most important thing you can do in this market right now is qualify buyers in your open homes. So that means that you're asking the questions, and this is like, I'll just run it through. We're all playing now. You know, Jake, you be the buyer. Hi, James Hayashi. Nice to meet you. What was your name?
Jake.
Jake. So your surname?
Carter.
Carter. Jake Carter. Good to meet you. How's your day been?
Yeah, good. Thank you. And yours?
Yeah, really good. Really good. Have you been looking for long?
Just started. We've just moved here, so we're starting to have a look at what's around and what's on the market.
Great. Have you come close or missed out on anything?
We were looking at one in Rainbow Street the other day. We were going to register, but we decided it wasn't for us.
Right. What held you back there? Was it the price or the property?
More the property.
The property. Okay. What wasn't right about that one?
I really want something with 2 parking. That one had 1. You could maybe squeeze another one in there, but ideally I need something with 2 parking.
Okay. So all things considered, for the right property, what would you pay?
I've got a budget of $2 million.
2 million. Okay. If I had something for 2.1, should I show it to you?
I mean, you could, yeah.
Okay. Could you perform at that level? I just obviously don't want to waste your time.
Look, I don't want to, but I probably could.
Okay. If I had the dream house at 2.2.
No.
That's too far. So 2.1's the budget. 2,150.
No, that's stretching it for us.
Okay, 2.1. No worries at all. Okay. Completely understand what you got. No worries at all. Have a look through this one. I'll keep you informed of what we have coming up. So what I've done there, right? You've got to understand the dynamics of a conversation. When you meet somebody for the first time, they don't want to be rude to you. Because if I'm there and people say, like, that's very aggressive questioning when you first meet someone, I'm like, yeah, exactly right. Because I need to know who you are, what you've looked at, what you missed out on. Are you actually a qualified buyer? So I would say Jake is probably a B buyer, just moved here, liked the house, was going to bid at auction, but hasn't bid. So if you change that dialogue a little bit, and Jake goes, yes, we bid on Rainbow Street. We bid to $2 million on that one. What held you back, price or property? It was the property. Why? Didn't have the double parking. Okay, so for the double parking, what would you pay? We pay up to 2.1. Okay, no problem at all. Great. Okay, so you got a budget of 2.1. Has a walk through. I do my callbacks, and so we're calling back our qualified buyers on a Saturday afternoon because we want to make sure we can talk to those people. Because try to call someone on Monday, good luck. You know, you're not going to get through to them. So we called him Saturday afternoon. Jake, you came through our house on Smith Street. You mentioned you missed out on Rainbow Street. Comparing Smith Street to Rainbow Street, what do you think Smith Street's worth? What are you guiding? We're guiding 1.8 on that one. Yeah, probably somewhere around that level. Jake, would you buy it for 1.8 million? No, probably not. Okay, at what price would you buy it for? Like, where do you see value? Oh, mate, look, it's south facing and it's only got 500 squares of land, so probably 1.7. Okay, so you buy it at 1.7. Yep, no problem at all. And I'm like, I'm giving price feedback to my vendor saying, Jake Carter, active buyer in the marketplace, finance approved, bid to whatever level on Rainbow Street, has made an offer on your property at 1.7 million based on the fact that we're south facing and we've got a block of land of only 500 square meters. So if you think about the prospecting dynamics of 2 years ago, where we'd be saying, what would you sell your house for? Like, is there a price? Like, what's your dream price, your walk away price? We'd sell it for 3 million. Great, I've got a buyer who'd pay that. We're reversing that and pulling offers out of buyers now. Because right now, buyers are not going to come to you and say, yes, we'd like to buy the property. They're confused. They're like, do we wait? Do we buy? Is this good value? Is it cheap? Is the market going to come down? But if you can pull offers, what will start happening is you'll start getting a pool of buyers around that 1.6, 1.7 price point. But then when you get that standout buyer at 1.8, 1.9, whatever it may be, that's your actual buyer. So now you've got people you can educate your vendor off as a pool of offers compared to what the actual market is. Does that make sense? So you've really got to be asking the right questions and extracting the offers, because buyers are not going to give offers to you now. You've got to actually pull those offers. That'll help you get that deal done.
And it's also then in turn going to help you condition your vendor as well on price.
Exactly.
Last question, James, as we wrap it up. You move to Port Macquarie tomorrow. 2 things that you would do.
2 things I'd do. Move as far away from David Gray as possible. No, just kidding. what would I do? Okay, so I'm moving to Port Macquarie. I'm starting obviously as a sales agent. I would look at a marketplace and going, right, where has the highest turnover? What's a market that I can get into the highest turnover? Also, what I call a fractured market. Is there a market where there's an agent who has, double-digit market share? How strong is that agent? Like, if there's something like so I'll liken it to Sydney. If you were to move to Sydney and look at Bronte and go, I want to sell in Bronte, I'd say, are you sure? Because you've got Alex Phillips, who's got 70% market share. He's the number one agent in the country. It's going to be pretty tough to beat him. But if you say, like, let's look at Maroubra Junction as an example. There's 5,000 houses there. The highest market share is 5% for any one agent. It's a fractured market. So for me to get market penetration is quite easy. There's 200 deals a year there. So I'm like, right, that will sustain my business. I'll be able to actually write the numbers I need. And then what I will do is I start looking at the most high performing streets and I target those specifically. I'd be chasing expired listings. I'd be door knocking. I'd be building data. And I'd be running the process of going, working out who's who in the zoo. Who are these people? What would be the motivation to sell? Is there any thoughts or intentions? And then I would just consistently layer over. So I wouldn't choose any more than 2,000 properties. And I'd just manage that and go, right, how quickly can I get those 2,000 names and numbers onto my database? And then how often can I speak to them?
I'd be getting nervous if you were moving to Port Macquarie.
Might happen.
Well, yeah, you never know, right? Guys, thank you. Any questions while we've got him? You can either come off mute or write them in the chat. Any questions for James? Give it a couple of minutes. No, we're all good, guys. Questions? Okay. All right. Thank you, James. Oh, no, hang on. I've got one.
Sorry, James, just one of the main sort of processes that you would put in as the most important for your trainees coming through in retrospect into probably prospecting, something that you just kind of harp on constantly?
So you're talking about like to an associate who's wanting to come through and become an agent?
Yeah. So we've got an associate coming through the ranks at the moment. What's the most important thing that you're focusing on with them?
Building a database. So really clean database. So it's understanding like, okay, are you targeting a patch? Okay, in that patch, right, how many streets are there? How many houses are on those streets? And then, because what happens is as agents, you go, right, I've door knocked or I've cold called or I've prospected that street. They typically do it once. It's like, now I go back, I'm like, I want you to create a spreadsheet of all the addresses in there. And I want you to put in the names and numbers so we can know exactly what houses you don't have. So, if there's one property on that street, you don't have their details, go and door knock that thing until you get those details. Now, you're not going to get 100%. That's impossible. But do absolutely everything you possibly can, because data is key. And then what you do from there is then that allows you to scale. So we have super teams in here. Nick's got 5 people, Nader's got 5 people, Angus has got 5 people. They're out there working, building data, but farming data. And so it's all a numbers game, real estate. The more people you can speak with, the better question and conversation you have, means the more opportunities you'll have. And so it's all, like I said, with volume. So it's not about, this is a big thing as well, right? And we don't measure our teams on GCI anymore. We measure it on number of sales. Because if you look at McGrath, for example, throughout the booming market, McGrath posted record results, but their number of sales didn't increase, their average sale price increased, and their average fee increased. So they rode the market. Now when the market tracks, this is one of our biggest competitors, another railway office who work in the market next to us. They were killing it in the good market. But now they've got 24 listings on the market. There's 30 staff in there. So they're struggling. They're not doing any sorts of deals because they've ridden the market. They actually haven't increased their volume. And so all our guys now, it's like, right, you did 10 sales last year. Let's get you to 20. You did 20 last year. Let's get you to 40. Because if you do that, you'll be able to increase your traction time after time. You got to remember that the more listings you have, it's like a virus spreading. You do one open home, you meet 10 people. You do another open, and then another 10 people. And that's how you build your network.
Opens a key. You're meeting people.
Definitely.
Anyone else question before we finish up? I just feel like I've just been to dinner with you, James, because it's basically all we talk about at dinner.
Let's see how.
All right. Well, thank you very much, James. I really appreciate you coming on today. It's been fantastic. We're going to get you up here in the next couple of months, and you
Love
can do
to.
some more stuff with the team. Thank you very much. Enjoy the day, guys. You go,
If
James.
any of the
Have
team
fun.
need anything, if you guys need anything
you.
or like have questions or like whatever, feel free to give me a call, shoot me an email. I'm always happy to help and share.
Thank you very much, James. Enjoy the day out there, guys. I will see the Northern Rivers shortly. I'm on my way. I'm on the phone if anyone else needs me. Bye, guys.
See you guys.